Hello, I'm here to tell you about my brand new podcast for kids and families about food. And it's called Food, Glorious Food. Get ready to dive into the world of food. From the fascinating way that fruit and veg grows to the exciting magic of cooking. You'll get to learn about the history of things like pizza and how a queen called Margarita had quite an impact on what we know today. Plus, there's so much more to discover. Search Food, Glorious Food with Darren Rees wherever you get your podcasts. To the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. It's time for another of our Football Jobs episodes. We've done these with the fantastic John Murray from the BBC. He is an amazing football commentator and gave us a terrific episode. We also done one with Nader Manuha, the former Manchester City player and now pundit. We did one with Aidan Callan, the Crewe Alexandra manager. What a fascinating chat that one was. And also, we did one of these with top football author and writer Henry Winter. All of those people have amazing jobs, and their jobs mean that they get to follow their passion of working in football. When I was younger, I didn't have a clue that you could actually work in football as your job, and even better, you get paid for it. So the idea around these episodes is to show you all of the amazing things and opportunities that you can do in football. And you must always remember, you really can do the things that you want to. If you work hard, you're dedicated, and you have a never giving up attitude. Right, in this episode, we're going to be speaking to Harry Hugo. Harry is 29 years old. He's an entrepreneur and a businessman who is one of the directors at a non-league club close to where I live. Harry's team is called Farnham Town FC, and they're currently on a bit of an unbeaten streak. In fact, I think he said over 50 games unbeaten. They are doing magnificently well. Now, you might be wondering what an entrepreneur is. Well, you might be a bit of an entrepreneur yourself and you don't even know it yet. Entrepreneurs are people with super ideas who can turn those ideas into a reality, and then often are very clever at making money from those ideas. Someone once told me, an idea is only a good idea if you do something with it. So, if you're a bit of an entrepreneur, I think you're going to love this episode. And also, for the adults listening, I think you're going to find this one extremely interesting, especially if you like to know about the behind the scenes stuffs in the beautiful game. We talk about how important the FA Cup is to non-league football. We talk about who gets to choose the design of the football kit for a club, what food is on the menu at Farnham Town, and who gets to choose that menu. Here we go then. Football Jobs with the brilliant Harry Hugo. Hi Harry, really good to have you on the podcast and thank you so much for your time. Would you mind starting us off by introducing yourself and telling us about what your job is in football?
Hey, I'm Harry Hugo and I am one of the directors at Farnham Town Football Club. It's the football club I grew up playing for. It's the football club that was part of my town when I was growing up, and now I'm delighted to be involved in it, and I've been involved for the last 2.5 years and the club's been doing pretty well.
Right Harry, I have got 8 fantastic questions from the listeners of the Football for Kids podcast, and the majority of them have come from the Football for Kids Patreon page and the super listeners. So the first one is from Ellie, who is aged 11, and Ellie lives in Barnet. And her question is, what does an owner of a football club actually do?
It's a good question. Farnham has a different ownership sort of structure to lots of clubs, like Premier League clubs have one owner, and it might be that person that makes all the decisions. Farnham has a board of directors, which is a group of people that make decisions together, and I'm one of those 4 people. I'm the newest member of that group, only joining 2.5 years ago. And we've made lots of big decisions over the course of those 2.5 years and improving the facilities, so making the pitch better, making the stadium better, making the food and drink better so that families can come down and enjoy their time at Farnham Town. We make sure that the money makes sense, so make sure that we're paying players the right amount of money, that we're setting the budgets at the start of the year, making sure we're pricing things correctly for when fans come to watch games, ultimately just making it a good, fun day out and a club that people respect. A big part of what I've done over the course of the last couple of years has been improving the social media, which means hiring people to do those jobs, posting the right things at the right times, making fun videos, making sure lots of people see the word Farnham Town across social media, be it on TikTok or YouTube. And it's been a major part of how we've grown, not only online, but also in the local community in Farnham Town.
So, Harry, one of the things which you said there, you mentioned the word food. Now, I know that there's going to be lots of kids listening to this who love going to their football clubs and maybe their non-league clubs, and there'll be a particular food which they love. And since I was a kid, food at football grounds has changed a lot. For my sins, I went to Tottenham not that long ago, and I've never seen so much food on offer in all of my life. But what's the best thing you've got on offer at your non-league football club, Farnham Town FC?
So we have 2 food places that you can get food from on a match day. You have the burger van, which is sort of like the classic food you get at a football ground. So you have burger and chips or bacon cheeseburger and chips and things like that. We also do a loaded fries, which is chips with pulled pork, melted cheese, which always does really, really well. But we also have this thing called Mystery Kitchen, which is another food truck which does a different food item or different meal every single match day, and you don't know what the food is going to be until you get to the ground. So it might be chili con carne one week, it might be lasagna the next week, it might be chicken curry the week afterwards. It's been sausage and mash, it's been roast dinners, it's been all sorts of different things, and those are always my favorite. This weekend we just did a beef ravioli with spicy tomato sauce, and that did really well. And the thing that sold the best though was the dessert, which was Biscoff filled donuts.
Well, that's enough about food because I'm getting hungry now. And the next question is from Zuro, age 10 in Miami, and he says, how do you become the owner of a football club? And can anyone become an owner?
You become an owner by getting involved in a football club. Normally you have to pay to become an owner. So you buy shares in the football club like you would with any other company. And you lend not only your money, but also your time in order to do those things and lead the business. In non-league football in the UK, it's slightly different because lots of the football clubs are not worth any money, or lots of them also have debt. So they're actually in negative money, which means that actually the people that can come in and help are the people that are willing to kind of write those debts off. And they don't necessarily have to pay for the football club, but they have to kind of take on the responsibilities that the football club are going to have in the day-to-day running, and be committed for a certain period of time. And I think that's kind of where I sit at Farnham. You know, Farnham was a very well-run club. It didn't have any debts, and it wasn't something you could buy. So instead, it was for me coming in and committing a certain amount of money over the course of 3 years as a minimum to fund the growth of the club. And that was how I got involved in football club ownership or directorship.
Well, there you go, Zero. Who knows? If you're 10 years old, in 10, 12, 15, 20 years, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, you may even be an owner of a football club yourself. Thank you for that one, Harry. The next question is, what's the best thing about being an owner of a football club, and what's the worst thing about being an owner of a football club?
I think the best and the worst things are the same thing. I think I love being able to do what I want to a degree, because I can choose to, put the playing budget up or change the food or, build a new stand or whatever it might be at the club. But that also comes with a huge amount of responsibility and expectation from fans and from other key people around the community and around the club. So for all the decisions that I love to make when they go positively, there's also the decisions that don't go so well, and the backlash that you get, and the people who don't like you based on the decisions that you make, which sadly is part of business and part of football, that not every decision is the perfect decision. And I think with football, you have lots of noise. I think in life, you get the opportunity to make mistakes and people don't judge you that much because there's not many people to judge you. At football clubs, there's hundreds or thousands. And in the Premier League, there's millions of people that judge every single move that you make as an owner or a director. And I think that is both a blessing and a curse.
Thank you, Harry. Well, yeah, I guess like anything in life, nothing always runs smoothly, does it? And you won't always keep everybody happy. That's one thing for certain. Well, the next question is from Tilly, who is aged 11, and Tilly lives in Guildford. Well, you're not too far from Farnham Town, Tilly. You could get yourself down there and check out a game of non-league football and try out one of those Biscoff-filled donuts. So Tilly's question is, what do you love about non-league football?
I love non-league football because it feels like the ultimate and rawest form of the game. It's the closeness you have with the players, with the fans, and the community aspect of all those things together. The Premier League obviously is an incredible product. People love watching it. It's fun. It's amazing. You get huge crowds. But at non-league, you can watch your star striker score in the last minute to win you a game if you're a fan, and then you can go into the bar afterwards and give them a hug or give them a high five or, say well done. And as much as we all love to do that, we'd all love to do that at Premier League level. That's just not available to you. And the players and the club itself is quite closed off to the fans. And I think that the beauty of non-league football is it's all very much one and the same. And the fans need the football club and the football club need the fans far more than they do in the Premier League. And I think that connection and that collaboration between the two parties of the club and the fans is what really, really gets me excited about non-league football. And I love the fact that it's cheap in a world where everything's getting more and more expensive. Non-league football, you can have an amazing day out for less than £10 or £20. And I think lots of non-league clubs, Farnham, definitely does, all under 18s get to go for free. And what better way to get young people into sport and live sport in a safe environment than at non-league football. And I think that's another really, really important thing about the community aspect of non-league.
But do you know what, Harry? I know that there will be a non-league club close to pretty much everybody who is listening to this podcast episode in the United Kingdom. So have a look and see who is your local team and get yourselves down there. Go and support them. Go and have a donut. Go and do whatever it is. Like Harry said, most of the time they're completely free to get in for under 18s. And even for the adults, they're very, very cheap. And you'll be doing a good thing for your local team by supporting them. Right, Harry, the next question is from Zach in Chiswick, who is aged 12. Zach says, what do you think makes a good owner of a football club? P.S. I'm a Chelsea fan, and I don't think our owners know what they're doing.
Hey, Zach. I think it's very difficult for me to say as someone in that position, exactly what makes a good one and a bad one, because I would just say things that I think I am. What I'd say I am is I know exactly what I want to do, and I've got a very clear vision, and I try and make all decisions based on that vision. Now, not every single decision is going to make everybody happy, but it's about how can I make sure that I'm staying true to the one decision that I'm trying to make and the one goal that I'm trying to get to. So I think from that point of view, I think what makes a good football club owner is a dedication to the initial vision and a leadership approach that's very sort of tunnel visioned, whilst also, you know, trying to listen to the reactions of other people. But ultimately, you can't please everybody, and I think the understanding of that quite early is really, really important, and you need to make decisions that you believe are the right decisions. On the Chelsea thing, I think, like me, they've come into football having never done it before, and the difference is they decided to do it at Chelsea, which has got quite a lot of public media scrutiny and people watching and people judging and people able to talk about them because they're in the public spotlight. And Farnham Town, whether I make mistakes or if I do really well, it's never going to get the same attention, but it means that I can make mistakes and I can kind of learn from those mistakes much quicker, and without too many people having their say. And that is a very, very similar situation to the Chelsea owners. They're just doing it in the public eye.
Very good, Harry. A well thought of, well explained answer. I like your thinking and I like your answer a lot. The next one is from Sonny, aged 8, and Terry, aged 42. How important is the FA Cup to non-league football teams, and how much money can a team like yours win if they do well and progress in the tournament?
Two great questionnaires there, Sonny and Terry. I think it's a really good question because it is really, really important. Cup competitions in non-league pay a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. And if I think back to when we first took over, we had no idea about how important it was to clubs to do well in the FA Cup, especially. So to give you an example, in every single round of the FA Cup, so when you're a step 5 club, so that means you're in the 9th tier of the pyramid, with the Premier League being the first tier. If you play the first game and you lose, you still get £1,000. It costs about £150 to register for the FA Cup. So you're already making £850 just by being in the FA Cup and losing the first game. If you win the first game, I think you make £1,700. But you also guarantee the losing money of the next round. So with every round that you go up, there's a price for the team that loses and the price for the team that wins. But obviously, when you're the team that wins, you don't just get the team that wins money in that round, you're also guaranteeing the team that loses money in the next round. So if you can win 4 or 5 games in the FA Cup at the level that we are at, so that might get you to the 2nd or 3rd qualifying round, and the Premier League guys don't come in until the 3rd round proper. So you've got the extra preliminary round, the preliminary round, 1st round qualifying, 2nd round qualifying, 3rd round qualifying, 4th round qualifying, 1st round proper, 2nd round proper, 3rd round proper. That's where the Premier League teams come in, and we come in right at the bottom. So you've got to win like 7 games in order to even get to the point where the other guys are coming in at. But regardless of that, if you can get to the 2nd or 3rd round of qualifying, so that means you're winning 4 or 5 games, you can make in the region of £20,000. And that's a huge amount of money for a club of our standing. And that's just on what the FA pays you. So that's probably like if you can get to the third round qualifying, about 20,000. But if you host those games, then you're going to get the extra money from the bar and the food and everything that comes with getting fans in the stadiums. But you have to split the gate money. So for every pound that comes through the turnstile, so for every fan that pays for a ticket, you have to split that 50-50. with the other team. So at some point in the FA Cup journey, if you're doing really, really well, let's say Farnham Town got to the point where they're playing Manchester United, it would financially be better for Farnham Town to play away from home than it would be for them to play at home, because Farnham can only fit 2,500 people into the ground, but Manchester United can fit 80,000 people into the ground, and they have to give us 50% of the ticket money. And you'd expect if Farnham were to play Manchester United, you also get on TV, and TV would pay you about 50 to 100,000 pounds to be on TV for a third round game. So there's a huge amount of income that can be generated on the FA Cup. Now, teams at our level have never really got to the third round proper. Teams a couple of levels above have, the likes of Havant and Waterlooville got Arsenal a few years ago. Your Yeovilles have got teams, and I think there's teams at sort of like the 7th and 6th tier of the pyramid have got big ties. I remember when Exeter hosted Manchester United and forced them to a replay in like 2002, 2003. So like there's lots of amazing stories. They don't come around very often, but yes, the FA Cup is a massive, massive money spinner, and it's also the games that happen at the start of the season. It's normally the first game of the season, so like you're getting money in from the start of August.
Right, Harry, you've given us lots of time, so thank you very much. I've got one more question from the kids, and then I've got one last question from myself to you. And the last question is from Jessica, age 7, in Somerset. Who gets to choose what the football kit looks like in a team like yours?
Great question, and something that I'm massively passionate about, because I love football kits and I love how they look, and I want to make sure that Farnham kits are always really, really amazing and get bought around the world, and they have done over the last couple of seasons, because I think that the designs have been fantastic and the partners that we've done it with have been fantastic. The likes of the Sidemen, Pitch Side Podcast, Calyx, big YouTubers have been a massive help. So we had a pink kit, which was amazing. This season we've got like a turquoisey away kit, which I love. The home kit looks like Barcelona from like the mid 2000s. It has like nice gold trim to kind of take a nod towards the fact that we were the Invincibles last year, and we're still 50 games unbeaten in the league as we stand. So I get to design them, and it's actually a process that takes a lot longer than you think. It starts happening in sort of November, December for next season, and it's one of my favourite parts of being involved in a football club.
Well, Harry, thank you so very much for your time once again, and thank you for answering those questions so brilliantly. You've given us an insight into your world and into your job, and it's been absolutely fascinating, just like all of the Football Jobs episodes which we've done on the podcast. But the episode doesn't quite end there. I've got one last question for you, and that is, why should the people who are listening to this get themselves involved in non-league football? Why should they go down to their local non-league football club and get involved?
I think non-league is really, really important. I think it's a community that is struggling. It's not easy to keep a football club afloat in a cost of living crisis, in a world where not that many people go and watch live local football. But if you do go down there and you enjoy it, which I do think you will, then it's something that you can really get behind quickly. You can become a major part of that community, and you can get to know the players and the people behind the club. And I think that you can have a closer relationship with a non-league football club than you will ever have with a Premier League football club. That's not to say it needs to overtake your Premier League love, but it can really nicely sit alongside it, and they feel very separate. It feels like two different sports almost, despite them playing exactly the same rules on the pitch. And I love everything about it. And I only got involved 2.5-3 years ago, and it's now my favourite thing I get involved in, and it's my favourite sport to go and watch. And I'm going to go and watch 2 teams tonight that I don't follow and don't watch just because I love watching non-league football.
Well, that was the brilliant Harry Hugo. I really hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. I love making Football for Kids, and I really love making the football jobs episodes. I hope that you're inspired by them, I hope that you're educated by them, and I hope that they open your minds to the world of opportunities which are out there. If you've got an idea for a football jobs episode, then please ask an adult to send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com. So remember, if you know somebody who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.